Good evening. My name is Steve Knutson with Fairfax County's Department of Transportation, and I want to welcome you to the second community meeting to discuss the traffic calming plan for Dulany Drive. And we can start with introductions. And tonight from FCDOT, we have Ryan O'Carroll, McCall Machakwe, and Grace Vaughn. And from the Drainsville District Supervisor's Office, we have Natalie Simpson. Ryan has a presentation to go through, and after the presentation, we will open the meeting up to the community for any questions and/or comments. And if any of the community's task force members are logged on to tonight's meeting, they can introduce themselves following the presentation. Natalie, is there anything you'd like to say before we start the presentation?
Yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Natalie Simpson. I work in Supervisor Bierman's office for the Drainsville District. I serve as the main point of contact between FCDOT and the community for all RTAP inquiries. So if you have any questions during this process, feel free to reach out to me directly. I think my email will be in the presentation shortly, and I'll put it in the chat.
Thanks, Natalie. Ryan, if you're ready, you can go ahead and start the presentation.
Sure, thanks, Steve. All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting, and thank you for joining us. Tonight, we're going to discuss the traffic calming program for Dulany Drive. The Fairfax County Department of Transportation and Fairfax Connector operate programs and services without regard to race, color, and national origin in accordance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. For more information, please visit the website listed in the presentation slide. Please note that this session is being recorded and may be shared on social media. Please hold all questions until the end of the presentation, and instructions for how to ask your questions will be provided at the end of the presentation. Today, we're here to explain the traffic calming process, provide an opportunity for community feedback, and answer any questions anyone may have. So what is traffic calming? Traffic calming is the installation of physical devices to reduce vehicle speed. These devices can either be vertical or horizontal. Vertical devices can be driven over, such as the speed hump shown in the upper left-hand corner. Horizontal devices can be driven around, such as the raised median island shown in the upper right-hand corner. Both types of devices make the roadway safer for drivers and pedestrians. Please note that through this process, we are not permitted to install stop signs. Here we have charts and images showing the effects of decreased speed. As speed decreases, visual acuity, field of vision, and depth perception increase. Also, with reduced speed, we can see a decrease in stopping distance. Here is a map displaying traffic calming projects across Fairfax County. With over 279 projects resulting in more than 665 devices countywide, every district has implemented traffic calming measures. The chances that you've driven over one are quite high. FCDOT and the District Supervisor's Office collaborate with citizens on all community-initiated projects. The program can be broken up into 5 steps. Step 1 is project initiation. Step 2 is plan development. Step 3 is community engagement. Step 4 is ballot phase. And the final step, Step 5, is project installation. All traffic calming projects are community initiated. The process begins with a request from the community to the District Supervisor's Office. Once the request is received, FCDOT will complete a basic eligibility review. If eligible, FCDOT will then conduct a traffic study. And if the eligibility and traffic study requirements are met, the community will then form a task force. To meet the basic eligibility requirements, the roadway must be VDOT maintained, have a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit, be functionally classified as local, collector, or arterial, and if it is a collector or arterial, it needs to be a residential street. Once passing basic eligibility requirements, we move on to conduct a traffic study. For the volume criteria, we need between 500 to 6,000 vehicles in 24 hours, both directions combined. For Dulany Drive, we had 506 vehicles, so we met the volume criteria. For the speed criteria, the recorded 85th percentile speed needs to be greater than or equal to 10 miles per hour over the posted speed limit. This means that 15% of vehicles will need to be traveling at 10 miles per hour over the posted speed limit or faster in at least one direction of travel. The 85th percentile speed was 34 miles per hour in the eastbound lane and 35 miles per hour in the westbound lane, which means that Dulany Drive met the speed criteria in the westbound lane. The next step is plan development. FCDOT will conduct a site visit in the field in order to develop a draft plan. Once a draft plan has been developed, FCDOT will meet with the task force to obtain feedback and amend the plan if necessary. Then once the task force is satisfied with the draft plan, property owners directly adjacent to any proposed measures must sign off on the device placement before proceeding to the next step of the project. There are device placement requirements for vertical devices. The devices must be a minimum of 300 feet between measures and from existing stop conditions, a minimum of 150 feet from intersections, a minimum of 150 feet for continuous sight distance, and it also has to fit with the existing roadway. So we must consider driveways, manholes, utilities, and the grade of the road. So based on those requirements, we created a field map that gives us an idea where we can place a device. Highlighted in green are possible locations on Dulany Drive. After reviewing the field map, we then conduct a field review to see if the device can fit on the existing roadway. Based on available options in our site visit, FCDOT is able to propose 3 speed humps and 1 speed table along Dulany Drive. The listed addresses are those of property owners who signed the adjacent property forms because the devices are directly adjacent to their property. Here we have the speed hump schematic. The speed hump is 12 feet long and is 3 inches high at center. There will be a white chevron in each travel lane and speed hump signs with a recommended speed of 15 miles per hour on each side of the speed hump. This is a larger image of what the speed hump would look like from the side of the street, with it being 12 feet in length and 3 inches high at center. Here we have the speed table schematic. The speed table is 22 feet long and is 3 inches high at center. There will be a white chevron in each travel lane and speed hump signs with a recommended speed of 15 miles per hour on each side of the speed table. This is a larger image of what the speed table would look like from the side of the street, with it being 22 feet in length and 3 inches high at center. Step 3 is the community meeting, which is where we are today. At this stage, FCDOT presents a plan to the community to gather feedback. Based on this feedback, the task force will decide whether to amend the plan or move forward to the next phase. If the task force decides to move forward, we will move to the ballot phase. During the ballot phase, each occupied property in the ballot area will receive 1 vote and send it directly to the district supervisor's office. The ballot period will be open for a minimum of 3 weeks, and the district supervisor's office will tally the votes and notify the task force of the result. On this slide, we have an example of a ballot. The proposed devices will be listed on the ballot, and the community will be voting for the entire plan. The task force is responsible for distributing the ballot packages to everyone in the ballot area. There are 3 ways to return your ballot by the deadline. You can mail in your ballot directly to the district supervisor's office. You can hand deliver it directly to the district supervisor's office, or you can email it directly to the district supervisor's office. Please note, all ballots must be turned in directly to the district supervisor's office using one of these 3 methods. Any ballots collected by the task force will not be counted. Upon request and the reasoning for a second community meeting, the ballot area has expanded to include properties on Mottram Drive. Here's the new ballot area map for Dulany Drive. In total, we have 46 ballots. And in order for the proposed plan to move forward, we will need greater than 50% of all occupied properties to vote in favor. Therefore, we will need 24 yes votes. And if the required number of yes votes are met, we move forward to step 5, which is project installation. The traffic calming plan will be presented to the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors for endorsement, and the resolution will be sent to VDOT. Once endorsed and VDOT accepts the resolution, FCDOT will work with the Department of Public Works and Environmental Services to schedule installation. Finally, the traffic calming measures outlined in the plan will be installed. After tonight's meeting, the task force will need to follow these next steps. Task force notifies Fairfax County if they would like to move forward with the presented plan. An optional meeting is available to meet with FCDOT to review the balloting process. This meeting is highly recommended to ensure a smooth balloting process. The task force and the district supervisor's office notify FCDOT if ballots in the ballot area are to be distributed to the property owners or occupants. The task force completes the ballot cover letter provided by FCDOT, including task force contact information, ballot received by date, ballot closed by date, and any additional information the task force would like to include. The task force also sends a completed ballot cover letter to FCDOT for approval. Once approved, they will receive the verified ballot package. And for the final step, the task force will need to print and distribute the ballots to all properties in the ballot area. This concludes the presentation, and now we can move on to the questions and answers portion of this meeting tonight. You have two options to ask your questions, chat or speak. Once the chat item is activated on Teams, you can use it by typing your question. If you want to speak, please click the raise your hand icon, and once the host calls on you to speak, you can unmute yourself by clicking on the mic icon or pressing Control-Shift-M on your keyboard. Please lower your hand once you are done asking the question. If you are on the phone, please press *5 to raise your hand. When the host calls on you to speak, press *6 to unmute yourself, and then you can ask your question. Once you are finished, press *5 again to lower your hand, and please press *6 to mute yourself. At this time, please feel free to ask any questions you may have, and we'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Okay, the first hand I see is from the email B. Krokowski. If you want to
That's
go
me.
ahead and unmute yourself.
Oh, I'm not
Yes,
unmuted?
you're unmuted. We can hear you.
Oh, okay, great. I don't know how to turn my camera on, though. I can't seem to do that. But anyway, my name's Bill Krakowski. Thank you very much for doing this. I'm sorry I missed the last get-together a couple of months ago. And this was very helpful for me to understand. I know I saw an old plan which had like 9 speed bumps. I think 4 is much more appropriate. I also think it's important we realize the following. We are a neighborhood here. We're all neighbors. It's important that we all listen to everyone else and we hear what everyone has to say. We should have mutual respect for one another, even if we don't agree with one another. We are here for the safety of our kids in the neighborhood and, to bring people together. So I just had a couple of quick questions first, and this is, again, since I missed the last one, I just want to understand it. And even with the presentation tonight, we're looking at 3 speed humps and 1 speed table. I know what the difference is, but why would you use one over the other?
Sometimes it's the availability of the roadway, what we can place there. Other times it's, what the task force feels the community might be more willing to accept. And sometimes it's, how, what level of mitigation you're looking to achieve. So, we felt like, this plan, kind of mixes and matches a few devices. It has the speed hump, which probably slows people down a little bit more on that straightaway in the middle of the roadway, in the middle of the length of Dulany Drive, and the speed table as you approach Falls Hill Road. So when you do kind of mix and match the devices, if you have people that aren't used to driving the roadway, they do have to pay a little bit more attention when they're crossing the devices, just because they vary, and you just kind of need to pay more attention to what you're driving across.
Great. And I like where they're located. By the way, I'm at 1210 Corbin Court, so I'm on the end of the street which is the cul-de-sac, that we don't have any of these speed humps. I'm not sure why we have none there, but I like them in this location specifically because of the bus stop that's at Mottram in Dulany. I do see people flying through there quite a bit, and I think it'll just slow down that traffic. It's so easy to go fairly quick through there. I think it'll be much safer for the kids to do that. Who pays for the speed bumps? Is this a county expense? How is this paid for?
Correct. It is a county expense.
Great. So if that's the case, if we're talking 4 speed bumps or humps, whatever, and the county is paying for it, why don't we just move forward and do it? Because it's going to make everything safer. It's going to slow down the traffic. It'll be safer for the kids. It's kind of a no-brainer. I think everyone should be voting yes for this because it makes it a safer neighborhood. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share. And again, I may come back if I have other questions along the way.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next hand I see raised is the number ending in 6398. If you want to go ahead and unmute yourself.
Adding Mottram is a surprise. Did we do another traffic study? Because I thought the specification process or whatever, they were left out last time because they had another way out of the neighborhood. What initiated the change?
So the community task force asked us to include the rest of the houses on Mottram. They felt that they were part of the community and they wanted to include them in this process. Since most of the some of them might have children that come down to the bus stop on Dulany. So it's a little easier
okay.
it's easier to widen out the area that's balloting as opposed to narrowing it.
But there was no traffic study done. We don't really know if anybody was speeding there or not.
No, we're not proposing any devices on that roadway. So they're just included in the ballot process, but we aren't putting devices on Mottram.
Can you hear me?
We can, yes.
I was just going to add to that. I don't know if the gentleman with the phone number ending in 98 was on the prior call in August, but a number of residents, several in Corbin Court, some on Delaney Drive, asked that we include those residents. And so we wanted to, as Bill kind of was just articulating, hear everybody out in the community and, try to make this collaborative. So that was their ask. So I'm one of the members of the task force. So that's what we did. As Mr. Knutson just mentioned, it does increase the threshold. We have to get more votes to pass this measure. So we're trying to be sort of unbiased and just take what people are saying and to the best of our ability, be constructive about it and, feed these things into the FCDOT, the Fairfax County Department of Transportation rules and procedures here.
All right, thank you, Jerry. And Ryan, if you do want to flip to the device location map, just in case anybody wants to see it. And Ryan also pointed out in his presentation that we do have an optional follow-up meeting that we do recommend that if the task force decides to go forward to the ballot process, that we meet again and just to talk through in a little greater detail the ballot process. And if you do, then you would just contact Natalie and we will coordinate that date and time.
Steve, we do have a couple hands. If Ed, I see yours first, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, and then Jerry, you can go next.
Yeah, I would just add, I do live on that straightaway where my wife and I were one of the bumps is currently located. And so, given it's a long straightaway, and we definitely signed when the petitioner, whoever it was, came along, we signed it just to slow people down that straightaway because that straightaway leads into if you're heading east, it leads into that long curve, which can get really dangerous coming around that curve. And so I know you had mentioned on there that when you did the survey, I'm talking to the county now, when you did the speed and the traffic, that it was like 35 one way and 36 the other way. I don't know if that's an average across the entire distance or if that was in the straightaway, but I can tell you that there's any number of cars that go faster than the 35 along that straightaway where it's most dangerous, which is close to that intersection where the bus stop is.
And yeah, I think what was referenced was the 85th percentile speed, and I think it was 35 in one direction and 34 in the other. And it wasn't quite in that straightaway area. I think it was closer to Balls Hill, probably between Selwyn Drive and Balls Hill Road. Okay. And Jared, I think your hand is back up if you do have another question or comment.
Oh, yeah. Sorry to jump back in, but I was reflecting on something that Bill asked, and I meant to say it earlier, but Bill asked a question that I don't think was addressed. You know, Bill mentioned he's a resident in Corbin Court and asked the question as to, why there are not speed humps or speed tables, on his side of the neighborhood. And I think he said, it would be a good idea. So the county didn't put it in their presentation here. But as someone said, maybe it was Bill, there were other speed humps and tables proposed. You can see the markings on the street. And there were a speed hump and a speed table on the left and the right of Corbin Court, as well as an additional speed table, kind of in that bend between Corbin Court and Cohen Street. But the residents who were adjacent to those 4 speed humps, they did not sign the petition, or at least one of them did not sign the petition, and thus those speed tables or humps, couldn't be put to the broader community vote, because once the adjacent homeowner said no, it rendered kind of that proposal by the county moot. So I hope that context is helpful, Mr. Bill.
Yeah, kind of nullified that location when we can't get sign off there. All right. Yeah, we did have a number of devices located on, I guess it would be the western end of Dulany, going towards Old Dominion. And as Jerry said, we were not able to get the required sign off for those locations. And I believe that Mr. Krakowski has his hand back up. You would like to?
Yes. Sorry, can you hear me now?
We can, yes.
Yeah, Jerry, thank you for raising that. So I happen to be a civil engineer. I'm not a traffic engineer. I work in commercial real estate. I do a lot of projects and deal with roads and roadways and safety of them. Honestly, I'm happy we don't have 9 speed bumps along this road. I think it would be, or however many were on that first plan, because it would be too many in my mind. And as I look at this plan, the reason I said I think this is appropriate, aside from the fact that we have the bus stop at Mottram and Dulany, the reality is, for the most part, cars don't drive that fast on a curve. And if you look from Old Dominion to Cone Street along Dulany, it is curved the whole way. It's when it gets straight that people start hitting the accelerator and going faster. Same, I'm not on Mottram, obviously, I'm on Corbin Court, but on Mottram, it's the same thing. Mottram is a fairly shorter road and it's a curvy road, so I think people go slower there. It's that stretch in my mind along Dulany where people go a lot faster than they should. And what is the speed limit, 25 now?
Yes, the speed limit on Dulany Drive is 25 miles an hour.
And it will remain 25, but at the speed humps, it'll go to 15 or recommended 15?
It's a recommended 15, so it's a black on yellow placard.
Yeah, so I feel like I'm very practical, and I think personally, I know people might not have wanted the speed humps in front of their houses by my side, so to speak, the west side. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not having on Mottram. It's that dangerous spot that I think is important on Dulany, where you show them. So I think they're appropriately placed for what it's worth.
All right, thank you. And we do have, pardon me, a contact page, Ryan, if you'd like to pull that up. So after the meeting, and this meeting is being recorded, and I do believe that was pointed out earlier, and we will have that recording available in the next couple of weeks, and it can be shared out to the community at large if requested. If questions come up after the meeting, again, you can email dotinfo@fairfaxcounty.gov with Dulany Drive traffic calming in the subject line, or call 703-877-5600 and ask to talk to somebody about the Dulany Drive traffic calming project. Or you can reach out to the Drainsville District and Supervisor's Office, Drainsville, ffxcounty.gov, with Dulany Drive traffic calming in the subject line, or 703-356-0551 is the phone number there. I think that Natalie might have just put her email address in the chat. I'm not positive, but I believe that is what just happened. So if you would like to just contact Natalie directly, she has put her work email address in the chat, so you can contact her directly at the Drainsville office. And again, if the task force does decide to go forward, we definitely recommend meeting again, just to make sure that the ballot process, we don't hit any hiccups or have any concerns there. And all the task force do not need to attend. It doesn't have to be, it can be during the day. It can be a fairly short meeting. It probably takes about a half an hour at most. Mr. Krakowski, I think you have your hand up again.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you all at the county for doing this. I appreciate it. And then the task force, I don't know who's on the task force, but thank you for your time and energy to make the neighborhood safer. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for the comments.
My pleasure.
And so, as Ryan pointed out earlier, this was a follow-up community meeting. We did have an original meeting a couple of months ago, and as stated, the reason why we are having the second one. The plan itself did not change, but the ballot area did change, and once that change is made, we do feel compelled to have a second meeting, just because the information that was presented at the first meeting has changed.
Mr. 62, I know you've lived here a long time. Any questions? Anybody else?
Mr. Aquino, if you would like to unmute yourself, we will go ahead and try to answer any question that you might have. And if you're having any concern or problem unmuting yourself, there should be a mic button up in the upper right-hand corner. You can just click on that and that should unmute you.
All right.
There.
Yeah, no, I was just asking what would be the timeline for the ballots?
I mean, our minimum timeline is a 3-week period to have it open. So it generally takes 1 to 2 weeks to produce the ballots and deliver them. And then we would like to see it left open for about 3 weeks at a minimum. Dulany is an exceptionally large ballot area, so 3 to 4 weeks should be sufficient.
And when? What month?
And what month will it be? November, December?
Yeah, we would probably recommend at this point waiting until the new year. So we generally don't like the ballot during the holiday season, just because the rate of return isn't very good during this time of year. So, unless we are able to, act very quickly and get moving, we are going to be into that holiday season. So I would think that we would want to wait until January.
All right,
That would
thank
be
you.
my recommendation.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting because I mean, the way they were talking, it was going to happen tomorrow.
Yes, Mr. Krakowski.
Sorry to keep
That's
raising
okay.
my hand. I apologize. I wasn't focusing on the timeline. I don't know how people feel. It doesn't matter to me when we do it personally, but in my mind, it would be better to do it sooner. I wouldn't mind getting them up before the winter when it's even more dangerous on the roads with ice and cold to slow the cars down. I don't know if we can get them installed, before the winter, but anyway, just my 2 cents again. It would be nice to do sooner than later if we could.
Yeah, I understand that, but we do have, some, constraints regarding installation during the winter time. So if the temperatures get too low, the asphalt plants aren't going to be open, and they're not really going to be able to put down new asphalt if the temperature gets too cold. So, generally during the January, February months, we're not doing too much installation, even December. Um, so, if we do hold off for a little bit, there's a good chance that it's, if we hold off on the ballot process, it's really not going to lengthen that delivery time since
Got it. And that does make sense. And to a certain degree, we're almost better installing them. Like you say, you can't install them in the winter. I get that. So, okay, I agree. Thank you.
And to kind of feed off what Steve was saying, after the ballot, and as Ryan said in the meeting presentation, we do have to go to the board to present. So if you guys do push forward and try to do it before the holiday season, I do think that, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, we are already past the point where we can present to the board before or in December. So we would definitely just have to wait until January anyways, until the next board meeting. So just keep that in mind as well. There are several steps that will take that we need to take internally, and DPWES, Department of Public Works, Environmental Services, have to take as well. So after balloting, after it goes to the board, it could take another, 3 to 4 months after that for installation. And that's without factoring in weather.
So there is some back end time that will pass before the devices get installed. And Nicole, you are correct. It looks like today was the last day we could submit titles for 2025. And Ryan does have the contact information up. Again, Natalie did put her direct email in the chat. If people are interested, we'll leave the meeting open for just a couple more minutes in case anybody comes up with another question. But it does sound like it does look like we've answered most people's questions or taken their comments. And if something comes up here in the next minute or two, we will try to address it. And do we have any questions or comments in the chat?
Nope, we are all clear.
All right, we do appreciate everybody's attendance tonight. And I think we're going to go ahead and end the meeting. And everybody have a pleasant evening. Thank you for attending.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank you.
night.